Lisa. Good morning. How are
Hi,
you?
Young. I'm great. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining the Product Manager Thought Collective's video podcast. And for those who, Lisa has been my communication and accent coach. So she's been amazing. And I just want to do a video podcast with you, kind of understand more of what you do and then how you can help others and some tips as well. All right.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm so excited. So first of all, Young, you're one of my OG clients.
Yes.
We've worked together for a long time. Um, and when we were working together, we were doing just very specifically American accent
Yes.
training, which I do.
Yes.
I kind of want to talk about like the evolution and incarnation
Yes.
of my business, which
Yes.
has really grown since we started working together. So the business is called Your Story for Change.
Hmm.
And what I do, I'm an integrated leadership and language
Hmm.
coach. So let me just clarify what that
Yeah.
means. What that is, for anybody who's living in the US or abroad, but operating
Mm.
in English in the
Yeah.
workplace. So if you're a non-native English speaking leader, particularly in tech,
Mm.
and you are needing communication skills that go beyond just the language training.
Yes.
So think of this as executive leadership coaching
Hmm.
coupled with the language and accent training that you would get from going to like, just a very rudimentary English ESL class. So
Yes.
this is the merging of these two things. Is that making sense,
Yeah, yeah,
Young?
I
Is
love
that
that. So basically, it's like leadership skills, communication skills together with some accent training, right? So you want to be more natural.
exactly?
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. So, what I really say to my clients is, first of all, most Americans don't have really any concept of what it's like to be operating in a language that's not your own language. So,
Right, right.
most Americans, a lot of us, some of us speak two or three languages, many of us don't. That's just the nature of, growing up in the United States and having been born here. People who come from abroad like you, like if you come from China or India or Brazil or Mexico or Japan or anywhere else around the planet,
Hmm.
you are not only operating in a different language, but you're having to adjust to the communication style,
Yes.
the nuance of the culture, both verbal and
Verbal.
nonverbal
Right.
communication.
Yes.
So, I mean, I know, you've lived here for a long time, but I'm guessing that you have some um thoughts and memories of moments where like it was like, gosh, I'm saying the language correctly, but there's something that's just like not clicking
Yes.
here?
Yes. Yes. I love
So
what you do here. I think it's honestly, I think everybody, whether you are a native speaker or not, I think everybody needs a communication coach. It's just part of life, communicating with your family, your coworkers, with your kids. Like everybody needs some communication skill improvement. Yeah.
I mean, look, I think any of us who have children, we all need communication
Yes.
coaching.
Yes. Yes.
That's like next level, right?
Definitely. Definitely. Um,
But I agree with you, Young, and I've been really fortunate that uh, I'm very no, I want to take that back. I don't want to use the word fortunate because I've worked really hard.
yes. Yes.
And I don't think, like just like you've worked really hard and I see all my clients like everybody's busting their butts. So I don't really believe in luck, but I do believe that inspiration meets work. You know
Right.
what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
And I just
100%. Yeah.
yeah, so I feel really fortunate and passionate about working with people who make that big leap,
Yes.
that big leap of coming and working in a culture that's not your own, living in a culture that's not your own. But that being said, I do also have a handful of clients who are native English speakers
Mhm.
who come to me for that like deeper like communication training.
Yes. Okay.
But majority of my clients are non-native speakers and um I feel really privileged that I have the opportunity that my world has grown so much just because I get to be around people who are from so many different backgrounds, who have different framework
Mhm.
and lens through which they're looking at the world, you
Yeah,
know?
I love that. It's a beautiful journey, which leads to my second question is what is
Yeah.
your hero origin story to be a full-time communication coach? What's your background
Yeah.
and how did you choose this path?
Okay. So hindsight is 2020, right?
Uh-huh.
Like we can't really connect the dots look going forward if we're going, oh, I really like I want to get there. But when I'm reflecting and looking back, here's what I see.
Mhm.
I moved to Italy after college. I went to USC and I moved to Italy after college.
Mm.
And, like any like 21-year-old in Italy, I was like loving life, right? Like had made a wonderful friend group there of people from all over the
Mhm.
world. I worked in a bar. I hung out at the bar, drank a lot of wine. I ate a lot of pasta, doing all these like fun things. I was really loving life.
Mhm.
I was working.
Yes.
But I was noticing that even though
Mm.
my Italian is really good
Mhm.
and very strong,
Mm.
that there were certain opportunities that I was being shut out of because I
Mm.
wasn't
Okay.
a fluent speaker, because I wasn't a native speaker. And it was really frustrating to have people say to me like, "Oh, Lisa, we love you. You're so warm. You have so much energy. You're such a great presenter. You're such a great speaker, but I don't know if our audiences are really going to be able to really get your message because
Mm.
your Italian just isn't, it's just not there."
Okay. Okay.
And um, that was really, it was discouraging because I knew that I had this like message inside of me that I
Yeah.
wanted to get out.
Yeah.
And it really got me to, start reflecting on what is it? Like, what is that gap?
Yeah.
You have strong language skills.
Right.
What is that gap?
Yeah.
How can we bridge that gap?
Mhm.
And then meanwhile, while I was in Italy, that's where I went through my certification to teach English as a foreign language. So I actually started teaching English while I lived in
Really?
Italy. And that was,
Oh, I didn't know
yeah, that
that.
was like,
Okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
that was the beginning. So I got trained at the American Institute in Firenze in Florence, Italy.
Uh-huh.
I started teaching classes there. I started working one-on-one. I was working at several different schools around the city. And that was when I really started to see like what a huge difference this makes in people's lives.
Yes, yes. Okay.
So when I moved back to the US several years later, I really moved back actually young. I loved my life there, but I moved back because I felt like I wanted to be able to make more of an impact.
Mm.
And again, even though my Italian was really strong, I knew that my deeper message, I wasn't going to be able to get there.
Mm.
And and I don't say that with any with I'm not trying to be hard on myself, but
Mhm.
I want I want to really communicate that I really get what it's like
Yes.
to be operating in a language that's not your own
Right.
language. When I moved back to LA, I started teaching at various language schools, including UCLA Extension here in Los Angeles.
Mhm.
And I was teaching groups, and I really, really like got, oh my gosh, how important the communication is. Not only the language, but what's under the language,
Mm. Yeah.
the belief system we come from.
Yeah.
You know, um, I had this when I was thinking about your questions yesterday. I had this memory of when I was teaching at UCLA Extension, and I was teaching at another school as well called English Language Center here in LA.
Mhm.
I had this client who was from Saudi Arabia,
Mm.
and she came to me and she had just moved to the US with her husband because he had gotten a job here. That's, tends to be a very common story. People move here for work
Mhm.
or their spouse has a job here.
Yeah.
And first of all, she was in a full hijab. So she was completely covered. She had her face covered. I could see her eyes. And she came to me for English and American accent training. And
Mm.
you can imagine me going in and asking myself, how can I best support this woman? So
Yes.
we went through several months of training together. And she, by the end of the program, was like, I feel like I actually have something to say and I know how to say it now.
That's
And
amazing.
she said, oh man. And she said, Lisa, you're not my teacher, you're my sister.
Yeah.
And I just felt
Ah,
like,
you're my sister too. I love that. Yeah.
yeah, girl, you are my sister. I mean, I just feel, I say to my clients, like,
Yeah.
we're going to connect through the language training, through the American accent. You're going to get all the technical training. But what this really is about is finding the heart space, the heart connection, so that you can really start communicating authentically. So
Yes.
you don't
Yes.
feel like there's a piece of you that's living in China and there's a piece of you that's living in America and there's a piece of you that speaks Chinese and then there's this
Right.
other part of that speaks English, that we're like finding the blend,
Yes.
that we're uncovering, what that means. So I just love it. I'm super, you know, grateful, passionate, passionate, grateful.
Yeah.
I could just say those.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that because so in the product management world, we call it customer empathy. Basically, you
Ooh,
have to thought through your own product, talk to your customers, and understand what pain point they have. And then for
yeah.
you experienced that pain point when you were in Italy because you know how it feels like to be in a foreign culture, even though you were great at the language, right? So I think that makes you special as communication coach because you really have that experience that your client is feeling. So I think that really echoes with me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so, thank you for acknowledging that. I think it's really important as a coach
Hmm.
to really, in some way, have walked the walk that your clients are walking.
Yes. Yes.
To really, I always think about this like, I can't give you or any of my clients confidence. The confidence comes from walking through the fire yourself.
Yes.
Like, I deeply do.
Yes. Yes.
Right? And, Young, I've seen you do that. I've seen you do that on your journey as a PM, as a mother, as a friend, as all these things. We all have to walk through the fire ourselves.
Yes.
We all have to, and one thing I really think about when I'm approaching my work is what is the cultural background? What is the cultural context this person is coming from?
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Which really I think is different from if you're just going like standard executive coaching or standard leadership coaching. Like,
Right.
what is
Yeah.
the framework,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that you're coming with and coming from, and how can we adjust that? Because look, I have my framework
Hmm.
as an Italian Jewish American woman that was born and raised in Los Angeles. I have a framework, right?
Yeah.
You have a framework, and if we can really take that framework into account, then we can start bridging that gap. Then we
Yeah.
can start getting you out of the frustration of, why am I not getting that promotion? Why am I not getting trust from my team? Why am I not getting the resources or the headcount that I need?
Yep.
Why when my scope overlaps with another team scope?
Too real. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Am I not like, I just have such mad respect for you, like for everybody I work with. Because you're not only having to use a different, like a language that's not your heart language,
Right.
you're also having to translate,
Yes.
right?
Yes. That's so
You have to-
true. Yes, because you had that moment when you were in Italy, right? You have to really put yourself into like think as the locals, right? Their way of thinking, their way of communicating. Uh,
Yes.
yeah. So
Yes.
speaking of your clients, you mentioned a lot of your clients. Most of them are non-native speakers, and then most of them are in tech. So what are some kind of common themes that you see that are the biggest challenges they are facing at the workplace?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So I think the one comment that I would say that I hear every time I start with a new client
Mm,
is that people, I just don't feel like people really get what I'm trying to say, and they have to ask me tons of questions for clarification.
okay, okay.
And they go, it makes me feel like there's something in what I'm saying that's not working.
Okay.
And my response to that is, yes, it's because it's 30% what you say and 70% how you're saying it.
That's true.
And
That's true. Yeah.
if you're not like coming to the table with the conviction and the confidence that you need, what's happening on the receiving end is a disconnection. So
Okay. Yeah.
that's one of the big things I hear. Another thing is like, I keep getting passed over for promotions. I'm really ready for this next step.
Mm-hmm.
And it keeps going to other people who have maybe more confidence than I do or are more commanding than I do. I don't know what exactly is happening. My boss keeps telling me, we love you, we love you, we love you. And it's just, there's this gap that's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
right there. So that's the second thing that I hear. And then the third thing that I hear is like, sometimes I get in these conflict situations and I freeze and I don't know how to stand up for myself. I don't know how to push. I don't know how to exert
I feel
influence.
that for sure. Yes. I'm pretty bad at conflict resolution. I think that is one of the most important skill sets in life and in the workplace. 100% agree with you. Yeah.
Absolutely. So Young, like when you're in that scenario,
Mm.
do you fight, do you fly, or do you freeze? What do you think is your
Oof.
way?
I think I tend to either freeze or fly. But then later on, I was thinking, oh, I should have done better this way or that way. And then I try to, come up with different strategies, but it just feels too late. Like at that moment, I'm not good at handling this. But then hindsight is like, oh, I should have done this. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So that's like, I'd say 99% of the people I coach
Yeah.
come to me with this. And what we want to do is we want to sort of bring your speed of thought and your speed of speech and vocalizing together so that when
Yeah.
so when you're in those moments, you can take the pause that you need
Yep.
and then you can react, but from a peaceful and powerful place.
Peaceful and
So
powerful. I love that. Okay. Yeah.
so you got to take pause,
Yes.
I always think of like my coach, because I have a coach. I
Oh,
mean,
nice.
geez, everybody should have a coach.
Yes. Yes.
My coach always talks about this idea of like responding instead of reacting,
Okay. Responding. Okay.
right?
Yeah.
The reaction is either going to be the fight or the
Right. Right.
flight
Right. Yeah.
or the freeze. And the response is being able to take that pause, gather yourself, and understand that you don't have to have the perfect answer in that moment. But if you freeze or you fly, your chances of
Not good.
pushing anything forward don't
Yeah,
exist.
that's true. That's true. That's true.
Right? So it's about being able to take the imperfect action
Yeah.
instead of the freeze.
Yeah.
And
I like that. It's like things could be resolved later on, but you responded with a strategy, with your good attitude, and then it'll be resolved later. It doesn't have to resolve right there. Okay. Yeah.
yes, so I love what you just said. Like you respond not only with a strategy, yeah, strategy is great, but you respond with your attitude. I really like that, Young. You respond with your attitude. The energy and the emotional
Mm.
response that you give in that moment will indicate to the other person,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I can let my guard down. We can come to a compromise or whatever needs to happen. But
Yeah.
if you respond, and if you react with the flight
Right.
instead of responding with like, you're saying to this to yourself, I'm feeling really uncomfortable right now, but I'm going to give myself a pause
Yeah.
and I'm going to come back to this with an open heart.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also have the language training in your back pocket
Yeah.
to support what you need to say. But, this is something that I really see kind of across the board
Mm-hmm.
and really like is an area that is about the technical skills, but is also about the heart skills,
Yes.
the mindset skills, everything that's under just the rudimentary language skills.
Right. Yeah. It's so much more than just saying words out loud to the other party. It's a combination of all the skills coming along together to get your point across, and people can really hear you. Yeah, no, I love that. So speaking of kind of conflict resolution or overall strategy, what are some tips you have for non-native speakers to improve their communication skills? What are some general tips that you can share?
So the first thing is, yes, like you want to have the language skills that you need.
Yes.
So, really looking at like, where am I on my language skills? You want to have those rudimentary language skills, of course. But first of all, you need to give yourself credit for how far you've come and how far you've
That's
come
true.
and for where you're going.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
First of all. Second of all, you need to accept that only 30% of your success is going to be from the technical. The other 70% is going to come from your ability to really communicate from the heart space effectively.
Yeah.
Also, you need to embrace your body, your voice, your language as a great tool, as a great asset. So one thing when I'm coaching people that I think my clients get really sick of hearing is like, move your mouth.
Yes.
Move
I remember
your
that.
mouth.
Yes. No, I love that. It's so true
You
though.
know?
Yeah.
Move your mouth. And I'm like a broken record saying that. But again, looking at the framework from which you come from, if your native language is Mandarin or Cantonese or any other of the Chinese languages, you're really used to being tight in your mouth. Your accent is in the middle of the mouth, whereas the American accent, oh my God, look at how much I move my mouth. It's like I'm chewing gum all the time.
That's funny. That's true.
It's true,
Yes.
right? Embrace that movement, embrace that movement. And then the last thing and I really go deeply in this in my coaching sessions, whether it's one-on-one or in the group, but let's collapse the hierarchy that you have in your mind of like, okay, when I'm speaking to my manager, my director, my VP, like I have to be a certain way. They hired you for you. There is no hierarchy. I just think of it, collapse it.
Oh, that's something new. That's cool. Okay.
So it's, again, you see, Young, it's like the technical skills that you need to get through the coaching, but it's also the inner work that needs to happen and the inner transformation and the embracing and the willingness to have courage and to have heart. And, I really believe in this because I go through this same process when I work with my coach of this feels really uncomfortable, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Right.
And in our sessions, we create a safe container for trial and error for you to bounce around to find what works, what doesn't, so that when you're in the real life situation and you're under duress and you're under stress, you just like an athlete, you've trained.
Yeah.
And then it's go time.
I love that. It's kind of like, I like how you talked about, collapse the hierarchy. Because like one thing I want to teach my kid is that nobody's better than you and you're not better than anybody else. We're all equals, right? You can learn from everybody. They can all learn from you as well. There's no superior, inferior kind of hierarchy. I love that. So that should apply for workplace too. Yeah.
Well, look at Young, you're doing that naturally as a mother.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think that we operate as one persona in our private life, and then we operate as a completely different persona in our work life, right? And when I say collapse the hierarchy, like, of course, respect is
first,
paramount.
Yes.
But some of my clients will come to me and they're like, "Oh my God, I have a meeting with my VP, and I'm so nervous." I'm like, does your VP eat? Yes. Do they breathe? Yes. Do they pee? Yes. Do they test out? Yes. Like we have to start thinking of the other as a human, just as we are, with all their flaws and all their fabulous qualities. And if we can go into that with that mindset, it's going to really allow you to connect with authenticity. Just like, when you talk to like one of your direct reports, or do you talk to someone who's like a colleague of yours, you have a certain level of confidence and connection.
Right.
It's the same.
Yeah.
It's the same as we go up the ladder.
Yeah. No, that's 100%. Because when I interview other like C levels, for the video podcast, they're humans. They struggle the same communication issues as we do, right? Maybe we have a little bit more language barrier because it's not our native language. But overall, everybody has something they gotta improve. So that is 100%. I agree with you so much.
And here's the thing about that too, is like your manager, your director, your VP, your skip level, whatever, they want you to be succeeding. They want
Yeah.
you
Yes.
to be confident.
Yeah.
It makes their job easier.
That's true.
That's why they
That's
hired you. So I think just like changing our mindset, changing our mentality, and changing the way we talk to ourselves
Yeah.
about the relationship.
Yes.
You know?
Definitely. I love that. One last question is that
Yeah.
if our readers are interested in learning more about your coaching, whether it's one-on-one or group setting, how should they reach out, or where can they learn more about it?
Definitely. So first of all, I want to thank you because you've sent to me, like you've come to me, but also you've sent me so many wonderful, wonderful clients. I'm just really, really grateful for that I've had the opportunity to support so many, fabulous of people, fellow PMs of yours who are working with me. Really appreciate that. So as you said, there's a variety of options you have.
Mhm.
You can come in for one-on-one coaching. And you can also come into our group program, which is awesome. It's so powerful being coached in a group.
Yes.
Because you're being observed when you're coached.
Right. That's true.
And the energy level that brings to you, and also maybe some nervousness, kind of simulates what it's like in those real life situations and those work situations.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
One-on-one. What I'll do, Young, is I'll give you the link to setting up a 30-minute free strategy session with me.
Okay.
That's the most effective way for people to come in,
Yeah.
because I get to really talk to you and understand where the gaps are.
Yep. Yeah.
And what the best course of action is.
True.
And also get your energy and understand, like, would a one-on-one or group setting be more powerful for you? And I'll also send you the link so you can drop it in the comments.
In the newsletter. I'll do that. Sounds good. Thank you so much, Lisa, for your time. So I'm going to stop recording right now. 1 sec.
Okay. Thank you, Young.